That was President Muhammadu Buhari, Nigeria's president, talking about the importance of agriculture and the need for us to do more to bring in more youth into the agricultural sector. Well, joining me now to speak on this young farmer scheme is a young farmer who has been in the farming business for a while. He's the Chief Executive Officer of X-Ray Farms Consulting, Mr. Africanfarmer Mogaji. I just wondered, how young at heart are you?
Really young at heart.
Well, you know, yesterday I asked you, are you a youth?
At heart.
At heart,
Yeah,
right?
I deal
well,
with
you
youth.
are after you,
Yeah,
you are,
really,
of course.
I'm not that old.
Anyway, so how does it feel to be a young farmer? And as a startup, what were your challenges and your limitations?
Well, the interesting thing is I started as a teenager, and I've not left the industry some 20-something years later. And so acceptance, the environment, the community accepting you, it's a major challenge. That's one. I recall an experience in 2008 when the then, of late memory, then Senate Committee Chairman on Agriculture came to meet me on a 250-acre project I was handling. And when he came there, he said, "Is this the boy we have been waiting for?" And he said, "What are you doing here?"
Why do you think they would have to show such a surprise to a young boy who is into agriculture?
He didn't even though he was chairing agric for the nation, he didn't expect me to be that polished and well-dressed on the farm.
Yeah.
You know, so the reality and the perception and what we think, they're two different things.
Yeah, absolutely, because I mean, that's one of the problems or challenges of getting these young people into agriculture, because a lot of people think agriculture is meant for older people, is a dirty job, is a difficult job, and then a lot of these young ones would want to rather go for, white-collar job,
Yes.
and one would wonder why that is so, and why is it important, for youth to participate in agriculture?
Basically for food security. Nigeria needs our youths to come into the sector. But more than wanting the youths to come into the sector, we need to package agriculture the way the youths perceive it. And, it's not about a lot of farming, a lot of opening up of land, even though that is very crucial. But that is the smallest in the value chain.
So tell me, how does a youth perceive agriculture, and how would a youth want agriculture, to be that would actually attract him?
Yeah, so like agric is a value chain.
Absolutely.
So there's a value chain that is appealing to the urban youths. There's a value chain that is appealing to the rural youths. So the value chain appealing to the urban youths is the trading, the marketing, the branding, which you have to spend a lot of money in changing the picture they have, And for the rural people, you just need to show them a future that is different from what their parents had gone through. Because the youths in the rural village have seen their parents, poor, wretched. They've not seen how using mechanization, just mechanizing it from not just tractor, but sprayer, harvester. Once they see that, it begins to become more appealing to them. So we need to, package what we show to those two segments of the youths.
Okay, now we have the president launching what he called the National Young Farmers Scheme. What do you expect this scheme to now drive, considering your own perception as to what should drive the youth into the agricultural sector?
What I heard the president talk about was NALDA. NALDA organizes lands. But NALDA has not been active for about 20 years. So, yes, it's always good to see that the president has a strong passion to see development in the agri sector, and not just the passion to talk and put some actions behind it. However, it is how is it going to work? So NALDA has been behind the scenes. Now that NALDA is in front of the scenes, ahead of Ministry of Agriculture, ahead of Ministry of Water Resources, ahead of National NDE, National Director of Employment, how do they work together? Because NALDA can only open lands and give inputs, which is what other ministries have been doing. So how do they integrate it together? There's a lot of focus on production, and it should be value chain. So I'm hoping that the president narrowed around the production, which is the primary, but the value chain is what we need to hear now. If not, we will produce more, and yet it would add to what is going to waste.
Now, the issue here is we've had, we keep coming up with different schemes, different programs, fantastic as they may be, but then when it comes to, after a point, we end up not even hearing about it.
Yes.
But one interesting thing here is that the president is going to be, the NALDA is going to be answering to the president. So the president has his eyes on this particular scheme. Do you think that would perhaps change the narrative going forward?
I doubt it.
Why?
I doubt it because if it is still government led, we know government is not wired. The bureaucracy in policies and co may stifle this project, to some point. It needs to be private sector driven, with NALDA having an overseeing function, reporting to the presidency. So instead of buying, because NALDA used to have all those equipments, they don't exist again, sold off, scrap. Now, government, my expectation vis-a-vis the current realities after 20 years is that the equipments that will be bought will be given to private sector to run. If that is done, the project will last. We can open more lands, but productivity. Opening land is one. Production is one. Opening land will increase production, but will it increase productivity? Productivity is what will sustain the processors. So it's a value chain that we're hearing the opening of land, but the thing is, are we, are the Chamber of Commerce, are they involved? The associations, are they involved? Because they must all be involved for it to succeed. NALDA cannot do it alone. It's the report they give to the president that they will read. And that's where the challenge always is. There are beautiful reports written over years on each program, but you just look back and you find out, where is this product that, we've invested heavily in, so there's always, it's not balanced. What you see, what is written, what is projected, vis-a-vis the realities. People would ask, where is this item? Where is that item that we are reading beautiful stories about? So we need it to be real.
Now, let's just hope that perhaps this scheme is not basically centered for those in the urban area. Now, when we talk about agriculture, remember, those in the rural area should be where the attention is. And we know that we have quite a number of youth migration.
Yes.
The youth migrating into the urban area.
Yeah.
And I think this has to be discouraged. So how do we begin to push some of these things into the rural communities to get them to understand? You talked about mechanization. Well, one thing is to bring mechanization. Another is capacity to use such machinery. So how do we begin to drive that course?
Now, the beautiful thing about this initiative is when it comes to NALDA, they can only open lands in the rural areas. So the lands are domiciled in the rural areas, so they will open the lands. But will they, beyond opening up of the lands, will they bring small equipment, not big 75 horsepower tractors? That's what mostly is brought in. But what is required are the small tractors and co. So bottom line is that it will get to the rural youths. But the other value chain, how are you going to move it? Move what is harvested? How are you going to train? The NALDA and the ministry should not get involved in training. They should get some of the colleges of agriculture, and they are virtually in every region, because the colleges of agriculture have technical knowledge. This is pure technical. And so if you don't involve the colleges of agriculture, they will open up the land, but the capacity, the knowledge required to make things happen is domiciled currently in the federal colleges of agriculture, which is also a federal arm. So, but we need to see a blueprint, a total package of this, how this is going to work. Most importantly, we need the NGOs to be involved so that the monitoring and evaluation, so that whatever is written to the presidency is actually what exists in the field. And the NGOs can monitor. The media, I've not seen media component, but maybe when they open it up, the media component is even bigger than what is really happening, because the presidency and the people working with him would only get the truth from the media. So a media component of this project is very crucial also.
Now, you talked about colleges of education. That brings to the issue of education in agriculture. How serious are we taking our curriculum, inculcating that culture of ensuring agriculture as part of us from the start? From school. Well, I remember when I was in primary school, even though I didn't like that, I would have to go to one of my projects in primary school. I have to go to the farm, to work. I didn't like that actually, but I think looking back, I think that's one way, government can actually encourage youth to begin to develop that interest into agriculture. And then for you, as a youth, you started quite young. How have you been advocating? How have you been inspiring other youths to come into agriculture?
Well, firstly, when you spoke about your primary school, in secondary school, when you are to be punished, they send you to the farm, which is part of the mindset that need to change.
Yes.
So from secondary
they see
school,
that as punishment.
Punishment is farm. So when you leave secondary school, you don't want to go back to pain.
Because of my experience in primary school, now when I got into secondary school, when it was time for us to, actually choose our courses, I said, man, I'm not going to do agriculture for anything.
But what we do now, and what we've been doing for a number of years, is we collaborate with government. Government parastatals, they have some underutilized facilities with irrigation, with equipment. We support the youths there to produce, and we grant access to market with some capacity development. So we've been doing that, and I personally collaborate with a lot of business development organizations, Fit Foundation, and actors, a lot of global and national organizations to help them make information and coaching available. So we have quite a lot of foreign NGOs funding different projects, but if you don't have some commercial knowledge to back it up, it won't. So yeah, we play in that space. We do a lot of radio advocacy also.
Right. So what will be your last words to these youths? Because it seems to have become paramount that we don't just have to have older ones in agriculture, into farming, be it, crop production or animal rearing.
Rearing, yes.
Yes. So what's your last words to these youths? How do we begin to move forward? Now we're talking about unemployment rate. I mean, with agriculture, I'm sure that would be one area that can actually solve that problem of unemployment.
First and foremost, I would ask the youth to open up now that the president's table is focusing on the youth in agric. They need to open up and embrace this policy. And two, they need to help the president monitor, to send information out with the social media like they do, to send real information to the presidency so that the presidency can know when to tweak, the projects and what is working, what is not working, so they can improve. But I know that the presidency and the president, they both know that for Nigeria's food security, we need the youth. So now the youth should not say it's business as usual, because the food security of Nigeria is dependent on them now.
Absolutely. When I look at the price of food commodities in the market. Sometimes I wish I can actually do this farming and farm some of these products. But I'm sorry.
I'll take you on a
can't.
coaching course.
Okay, I'll think about that.
Yeah, media in agri.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. African Farmer, for
Thank you.
sharing your thoughts here with us.
Thank you for having me.